All right. As we go to break, Jay Leno's been having a lot of fun with the Michael Jackson case. And he's been inviting comics to come on and do some Michael Jackson jokes.
Well,
You gotta love that.
man.
And he had Roseanne on.
Oh.
You like Roseanne, right?
Yes, she was a great comic.
I was arguing this with somebody.
Tense.
Well, she's not doing stand-up as much anymore. I'm saying she's just, Roseanne I always liked.
She was funny before Roseanne. She was funny after Roseanne.
I met her once. She was a tough crowd fan. She's like, we should do it together. I was very happy.
Ooh.
And then, unfortunately, the show went off, of course.
Wow.
Sorry, that the Comedy Central uppers didn't like what we were saying,
Yeah.
But there's no bias. I sat in those fucking meetings, you idiots on the left. Hey, don't talk about race because Chappelle does that. Hey, don't talk about the news because Jon Stewart does that. Hey, don't make fun of domestic violence. Every ideology of the left was protected. Every one. The notes we used to get. I dealt with that for 2 years on that show. These network scumbags. Hey, it's owned by Rupert Murdoch and the conservatives. They're not the ones making the day-to-day decisions, idiots. I love when people say, hey, quit trashing liberals. All right, when I start getting conservative notes, then I'll stop trashing liberals. But I didn't get that at Comedy Central. Hey, can't make fun of domestic violence.
Are you kidding me?
No.
Oh, speaking of which, got a great story about that today.
Me and Colin had footage of us in Iraq. We were kind of like, fighting and kicking each other and joking around. And the end of the thing was going to be a domestic violence thing, like Colin and I were married.
Right.
And we're getting ready to go to air during Act 3. Guys, the censor said you can't do that. Practices and standards said you can't do that. Meanwhile, they allowed me, and correctly so, to do what kind of car would Jesus drive? And I said it wouldn't matter. It would just have to be an automatic because he can't drive a stick with a hole in his hands.
Right.
And they should have let that go through, and they did. But, boy, you offend the ideology of the right, it's perfectly acceptable. But, boy, you go after the ideology of the left, and they fucking cry about it. Both should have been allowed. Neither one are FCC violations.
A comedy garden like domestic violence, and they wouldn't let you pick from it.
No.
Sickening. Especially when it wasn't like we were showing a picture ahead of Nussbaum and then laughing at it. Or in my case, jerking off looking at it.
That would have been hysterical.
Yes. This is called Taking Care of Business by Joel.
You ever think he beat her in the face with the kid? Take care of two.
Well, he probably couldn't swing her because she's all chained to the radiator.
This comes up
Little
a lot.
misbehaving Lisa.
This comes up a lot with Anthony and I about the FCC, and are you worried about the FCC and stuff? Obviously not as much now that we're on satellite radio, and I've always said that the FCC isn't the biggest problem out there.
No.
Stupid Howard, he's not really, talking about the real issue. It's who you work for that is a much bigger problem than the FCC. There are so many things at our old job that we could not do on the radio. Not because it was going to break some FCC, regulation or whatever, or rule. It was because the bosses didn't want us to do it.
They were scared of the little groups that would complain
the little
and
groups,
send letters.
The sponsorships.
Yeah.
If Howard really wants to, yell and scream about what's going on out there, then why don't you deal with the real issue? You have to deal with sponsors and you have to deal with bosses. We have bosses at XM that are probably a lot more scarier than the FCC.
Because it's not a real battle he's fighting. He knows that. He made this big monster out of the FCC when, in fact, that isn't the monster. And if you really look at past history, Howard's been battling the FCC, saying they're trying to get him off the air. How many years has Howard been on the air? Give me a number. How many years?
Over 20.
Over 20 years? Gee, I think you're okay. I think you're going to be on the air. I don't think the FCC is really trying to get you off the air. I don't think they've succeeded. It's 20 years. Enough already. You know what I mean? If they wanted to and were really had this effort to get you off the air, you'd be off the air.
Yeah, the real problem is out there is like the Walmarts and and we talk about like Blockbuster. They have edits of their movies and things like that. But it's especially Walmart. They don't like a cover art of a CD. They don't even stock it. And that would be all well and good if there was another type of Walmart company out there that would.
Yeah.
But when these companies are taking over everything and then they're in their corporate office they decide what they want or don't want in their store, that's a lot more dangerous than the actual government stepping in.
And that comes much more from conservative groups. The left complains about stuff like that, but those censorship of album covers, that's probably 85 to 90% from conservative groups.
Yeah,
fucking religious groups and these baby parent groups.
But we were never scared of the FCC, Donnie Deutsch wanted us to go back on his CNBC show. He never ran our original interview.
He didn't run that interview?
No. It was a great one, too, but what happened was
Why?
Michael Powell from the FCC stepped down, so they call us, and they're like, hey, we want you back on to discuss Michael Powell and the FCC. And we told them, we're like, and they basically said, well, if you don't come back on, we're not running the old interview. And we're like, well, then don't run it. We don't need exposure. Ant and I have never been about exposure to that point. So, we basically told him, look, we have no problem with Michael Powell and the FCC. We just don't.
Your political opinions are the cynical tripe, usually coming from people that never create anything and rarely get their hands dirty. How can Opie say nothing changes when the entire Middle East is changing?
What a douche.
You completely didn't get anything that was
What do you mean
said.
your opinion, stupid? I'm saying that Bush wasn't given any credit.
Hold on. Let me defend myself. That was a complete joke. I was sitting here eating a sandwich, making believe I didn't care. And went, I don't care because nothing changes.
Yeah, and then he goes, I'm eating.
Right.
What an idiot.
That's good.
James Adler.
Way to handle a joke, stupid. Just be completely literal. Makes sense. James Adler. He even sounds like a pompous ass.
James Adler.
CPA.
I couldn't hang with the boys on their political discussion, so I figured I needed to contribute something, and so I contributed that.
You could have hung. You just didn't want to. You were eating.
There you go.
James Adler.
Vote
for me, James Adler. Friends of James Adler.
That's right. Remove all the fun from daily life.
But to bring it back around really fast, all the problems you had at Comedy Central, that's much more serious than the FCC actually getting their hands dirty as you guys, put that show together.
I don't know. I think they're both revolting. They're both revolting. The FCC is just more obvious. They're more out in the open about what they do. We all know that they're repressive. They are repressive. Look what they're the ones that did fine CBS $500,000 for that. They are scumbags. But comedy, the problem with the left is they do it like on the DL. They're kind of quiet and they won't admit it. Everyone knows the FCC is an irritant.
Yeah.
But just the subtlety of hearing those notes is what bothers me.
Todd, real fast because we got to take a break.
Yeah. By the way, your phones do suck because while I was on hold, I could hear you just fine. But as soon as I heard the phone go, shh, like you put me on live, I can't hear shit.
That's how we have it. That's how we have it
What
worked out.
What I wanted to say is, you know how you say Walmart won't play a certain or have a certain CD cover?
Yeah.
They actually will not have certain CDs because of their lyrics. Yet, you go over to the video game department, what do they got? Grand Theft Auto San Andreas.
Well, they should.
Yeah, that's the other thing is their standards don't make any sense whatsoever.
No.
Because a lot of people would argue that the fact that they... And I'm not... Don't even email me.
You saying the guns?
Yeah, the fact that they sell...
Shit.
Oh,
I'm out. Punch it out, guys.
Oh, isn't that great how the callers then talk over you?
But he probably couldn't hear you.
Yeah, because he couldn't hear.
No, and he's frustrated because he wants to have a conversation with us because this is a talk show.
No.
But once again, last night it was suggested that Ant and I and all of us, I guess, we just don't know how to run the equipment.
Well, I actually don't.
It's like walkie-talkies we're working with here. He's got to say something, then we have to talk, then he has to talk.
Right, but a lot of people would argue that the fact that they sell guns is a horrendous thing.
It is.
They sell the guns, but they don't sell rap albums.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing.
Well, to some people, I think you should sell it all. Myself.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right, Ben.
What are you writing down, Ben?
Scrawled out break on a piece of paper.
See, that's a good sign, though. When Ben's herky and jerking and panicking and running in saying break, 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 it means we're having an okay show.
We do have Ben here, too.
Show.
All right, the Michael Jackson thing. So, Jay Leno, Michael Jackson, guest comics doing Jackson jokes. Rosanne.
Well, and Heidi Klum said in an interview today she hates nothing more than when she goes to kiss her date and feels little whiskers. No, I'm sorry, that was Michael Jackson. I'm sorry. Now, folks, as you know, I have to stop right there because of this court-imposed gag order. So we have someone now. She's an Emmy and Peabody Award-winning comedian, one of the great stand-ups, Rosanne Barr, ladies and gentlemen.
The other day at the trial, they showed a video of Michael's house, and both of Michael's ex-wives showed up because they said they always wanted to see what his bedroom looked like. Defense lawyers say Michael might testify. They don't really want him to, but they think it's the only way they could get his nose to grow back. That's a good one, too. I kid Michael, but it is really just great to tell jokes about somebody who's actually had more plastic surgery than me.
Starting Monday, the Opie and Anthony show will be live from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. every weekday with replays throughout the day.
Unbelievable.
On XM 202.
The Opie and Anthony show.
XM202.